What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Heroes of Might and Magic 5 video. We're doing every single creature from every single faction in this small little series that we got going on. I've done all the heroes from every faction as well as all tier lists for creatures and towns, so be sure to like and subscribe and check out all of those videos and my ginormous dual mode series of 90 plus videos that has been finally completed. So be sure to check all of that stuff out. And we are going to get started just for going in order. Mr. Peasant here. So peasants are definitely the staple of Haven. They are a pretty terrible tier 1 aside from the fact that they give you income here. So living creature, that kind of stuff is what you're going to see from a lot of things, but taxpayer every day, the hero gets as many units of gold as their creatures with this ability in all their armies and castles. So the more peasants you get, the more gold you get. Haven easily has the best economy, at least gold wise, because of these peasants. So terrible fighting creature, but one of the best low tier abilities in the entire game. So Haven definitely has an insane economy. This is all skewed up here just so I could get all of these creatures and everything, so don't worry about how that looks at the top. It's going to be the same for every faction video that I do. So, but yeah, peasants giving gold every single day is insane. So it's very, very nice. And then the upgraded conscript here, which I prefer because he has the bash, has a chance to stun the enemy and won't be able to retaliate, and they lose initiative. So that's a little, stun and stop then. Again, still a bad tier 1, but this is definitely a good upgrade, and obviously still has the taxpayer ability. And then the Brute kind of does something similar, so has a chance to deliver another blow after the first one, so it's basically a double attack, but it does not stun them and it does not stop the creature either. So it's kind of just, you want to risk a double attack for your peasants, which honestly is not amazing, or do you want to stun them and have them lose initiative, which I prefer, just because it obviously is, to me, more helpful. Obviously this does more damage, but the other way around makes you take no damage and then make that creature just a tiny bit worse. So that is my preference. I'm just going to lock in who I am going to choose at the end, who I think is better. Then we go just the basic archer here. Shooter, obviously, living creature, scatter shot, so he has the ability to area affect a little bit of damage in the area. But as you can see, it does do friendly creature damage as well, so you have to be mindful of that. At the same time, you're not really going to ever end up using this archer too much, obviously, because it's such a low tier unit. You're going to be able to upgrade them pretty fast to where that scatter shot is not really used at all. But still, as a tier 2 unit, these archers and crossbowmen are pretty strong. So we got the marksman here still. Precise shot when shooting at close range. This inflicts even heavier damage. So this is nice, but most of the time it's not going to be seen. A lot of the time a creature won't be that close to you. If they are that close to you, they're obviously in melee range and right up hitting you anyway, or it's not even really your turn and they'll be there or something. So I mean, it's definitely super nice to have if for whatever reason there is a creature that close to you that isn't in melee range, but it's, yeah, basically they have to be 2 tiles away, which is super unlikely. So while he is still a good tier 2 unit for sure, the crossbowman here is definitely the best choice because they have no range penalty. So as you can, if you are new to the series or just want to be here because you're talking, which I appreciate, having the broken arrow obviously does less damage because they're so far. This guy has none of that. It's straight full amount of damage, no matter where they are. Um, so it's, yeah, if they're close enough, you're going to be doing the same damage as you would as they are the furthest amount away, which is huge. It's huge, especially for a tier 2. That's a massive amount of damage going out because you don't have a damage penalty for shooting so far away. So they can be anywhere and you're going to be doing massive amount of damage for them. So he's definitely the best tier 2 crossbow shooter here. Footmen, obviously pretty decent little tanks for Haven for tier 3. So in rage, anytime friendly unit dies, they gain attack. So that can be nice. Most people have that. A lot of creatures have Enrage from every single faction. But it's still nice, you know, that you obviously get enraged when a friendly unit dies, so you're going to do more damage, which, you know, will take that large shield, I'm sorry. So 50% damage from non-magical shooting attacks. So anything ranged, you're going to be taking 50% less damage than you normally would from that, which is very nice. Very, very good because it basically forces people into melee. At least to get a better benefit as killing this unit, but at the same time when they do that, you do have a bash. So there are, again, a lot of creatures that have bash, so has a chance to stun, won't retaliate, and then lose initiative. So that, again, is a very solid tier 3 tank-like unit. Basically forces you to melee attack them, and then they have a chance to bash you and make that unit not retaliate and do worse. We have the Squire here, so still enraged, still large shield as well, and then shield other. So he has the bash, still the same, but then shield other. So all friendly creatures located on neighboring tiles get only 50% of damage from non-magical shooting attacks. So if you have a Squire and then a peasant right next to him, and the peasant gets shot from, you know, a hunter from Sylvan, he's only going to have a take 50% of the damage that he normally would, which again is huge. Now, I do feel like this, while it is good and it is useful, and Squires are, you know, obviously every upgrade is technically better than the stock base version. Still having the bash and large shield is the same. This obviously does add a little bit more to him because of the possibility of you being next to somebody, but honestly, this is really only useful for like the very beginning, and then after that, I would say well over 50% of the time you're not going to be next to a friendly creature to do this. And I'm actually not fully sure how the large creatures play into that, as far as like one, if they even still do, but also what technical tile you would have to be in for it to work. I do think it probably does, but I'm sure there's some weird mechanic there. Then we have the Vindicator. So again, enraged if a friendly unit dies, large shield still, so basically forcing melee attack, but then cleave instead of bashing and having the shield friendly. If this creature's attack kills at least one creature and the target stack, it performs an additional attack, which is pretty much fucking guaranteed. So Vindicator definitely, I would say, it's a little difficult. I think Vindicator is probably the better of the three. Obviously better of the two because, you know, upgraded versions. But Vindicator still has the large shield like everybody does and the enrage. So the only difference is, do you want to be able to possibly shield a friendly target, or every single time you kill a creature, which is again pretty much guaranteed, especially if you're going after lower tier units, that you get to perform an additional strike. So I feel like that is massively good for tier 3. Getting guaranteed 2 hits for the most part is insane. And honestly, it could even be good if you are going after a tier 7 and you have the chance to, you're going to kill 1 to 2. Like, that's guaranteed to hit that tier 7 twice. Which, again, this unit is definitely, for a tier 3, decently tanky. Obviously, from taking less damage from ranged attacks. So, again, forced melee and decent attack and defense, but if they're going after, have this man go after the low tier units and work their way up, and he's going to be just mowing through them because he's getting additional strikes. So I would say Vindicator is definitely the better of the 2 upgrades, but Squire is definitely not a bad version. A little more defensive and takey than the Vindicator, but other than that, it's the same. So less damage, more defense for the Squire, a little more evened out for the Vindicator. Then we go to the tier 4 Griffins. So unlimited retaliation. So if you attack somebody, they attack you, you're going to be able to attack again, which is huge for any creature, but we will see that a few times for other creatures and other factions as well. Again, they're a living creature, nothing there. Immune to blind, I don't feel like that's anything, amazing. I guess for a base tier 4 creature, it's not bad. Obviously, they're also a large creature, so they take up more squares or more tiles than, peasants or squires or whatever, but that can obviously be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it. And then flyer, which is nice. So they can obviously fly over obstacles, fly over castle walls and stuff like that. So that is definitely a useful trait to have. So unlimited retaliation and flying and just a natural immunity to blind is definitely not bad for a tier 4. And then the upgrades. So the upgrades is a little difficult to choose. It's honestly just kind of your preference as far as the diving, which we will get into. So still, again, unlimited retaliation, which is great. Still immune to blind. Large creature and flyer there. We'll skip over those because we obviously know that. And then the battle dive. So they go up in the air and they wait. So they go onto a specific tile. So let's say you're facing Inferno and you want to attack the succubus. You're going to go up in the air and click on her. You're going to have to wait a few turns, and then if that succubus has not moved, your griffin will come down, swoop her, and attack her. And then they go back onto the battlefield, and you can only do that, I believe, just once a fight. But it is obviously very devastating, and it honestly, it kind of, your opponent obviously doesn't know who you put it on, but it definitely makes them think who they want to move, so instead of, range attacking with whoever, they move them to a different tile, which maybe you put the dive on the random tile that you think they're going to move to, or just a 4 square tile for a large creature, so you have a better shot at it. I don't know. It's still very, very good. It's very nice and useful, but it does take the griffin out of the fight for a few turns. So be a little wary of that you won't have the griffin on the field for a little bit. So then the battle griffin, still, immune to blind, unlimited retaliation, large creature flyer. We all know this. Battle frenzy. Every next retaliation strike performed by this creature inflicts more than the previous one. So the longer the game goes on and the more extra retaliation that he gets or the creature gets, it's going to be doing more. So he's going to be doing more and more and more damage. Now, the difference in this dive is that they do it in a whole line. So it's a strip of 2 tiles across. So basically think of large creature tiles of 4 going all the way across in a line on the battlefield. So this obviously does not do as much damage as the other griffin, but it has the chance to hit every creature that's in that line, which, you know, I highly doubt it's going to be all possible 7 other creatures or even more if they have spawns and shit. But, you know, obviously has the chance of doing a massive amount of damage to multiple targets. Now, it's not going to be as singular devastating as the battle dive against one target, but this obviously can definitely get you a multiple target hit, which can be very useful as well. So for consistency, I would say this Battle Griffin is better because you're going to hit multiple targets. It's not going to do as much single target damage, but the possibility of hitting multiple is very big. And then at the same time, essentially increasing the amount of damage they're going to be doing from the retaliations is huge. So I would say this Battle Griffin is the better version. Haven honestly probably has one of the best sections of alternate upgrades of any other faction. Their alternate upgrades, as you're seeing for the most part, are very strong. And then the worst tier 5 in the game, the Priest, obviously is a shooter, no melee penalty, so if somebody pulls up to him in melee range, he actually does the same amount of damage, which is actually very nice. But yeah, not anything big there. I thought the base Priest could cast, but I guess I'm wrong. The upgraded priest here, Inquisitor, Shooter still, no melee penalty, Living Creature, and then Caster. So these casting spells are, they're just bad, honestly. They're not devastating at all. They're just basically, friendly casts, you know, endurance, haste. I don't think he can slow or anything like that. I think it's all just friendly creature casts. So, yeah, the amount of damage he does for ranged attacks is not good. Melee, he's actually decent, with a little bit of health there too, but the casts are just bad as well, so, like, they're just, they're not useful. Again, to me, these priests are the worst tier 5 in the entire game. Zealot here. Shooter, no melee penalty again. Still Caster. These ones are a little bit different cast, but not really. And then Purge. This creature has a certain chance to remove a positive effect from an enemy it attacks. So, I mean, that can be nice, I guess, but it's still not super useful. It's pretty much the same as the Inquisitor, except if an enemy creature pulls up on you and they have, you know, they have Enrage, they have haste, they have whatever, you have the chance to remove that by attacking them. Which I'm actually not sure if that affects if you shoot them at range either. So that's possible, I guess. So he would definitely be the better version just for that possibility, because, like, why not? Definitely just gives a little extra bonus to you. But again, terrible units. And then the Cavaliers, definitely a very strong tier 6 unit here. Jousting. Creature gets 5% bonus damage it inflicts during combat for every tile it covered on the game before the attack. So, if you're, top left corner over here, and then you're going down here to the bottom right corner, you make it all the way over there, you're going to be doing way more damage than if you pulled up straight to them and attacked them that way. So it's definitely a shit ton of bonus damage going on there, which is super nice. You know, definitely move your Cavaliers as much as possible, as far away as possible to do attacks to get the most damage out of them. Then the Paladin here still has that same thing. And then Immunity is nice, just a basic, immunity is definitely nothing wrong. Lay Hands, creature can completely heal one unit from the friendly target and dispel all negative magical effects. So if somebody is getting, enemy spelled, you know, slow and things like that, you can dispel that with him, which is nice. I do feel like it's hard because to me it feels like a waste of a tier 6 unit play, but at certain points it could be useful. At the same time, it will heal them as well, so it's not going to like, you know, give you, you know, 20 more squires or something like that, but you know, it will bring them up to full health of that life, if that makes sense. So, you know, you got 3 angels, they just got hit down to 2, you're going to bring them up to right under 3, basically, if that makes sense. Um, so it can be nice. Definitely not a bad upgrade. And then Mr. Champion Joust here, same thing for the jousting, move him a lot. Champion Charge. If this creature has walked more than 2 tiles when attacking, it also inflicts half damage on the stack standing in line behind the primary target. So he can definitely be super, super devastating. I honestly prefer this one, mostly just because in the beginning, because he has such high initiative, these Cavaliers get to go very early in the game. So 90% of the time, you usually have creatures that are standing in front or behind somebody. So you go all the way across the map pretty much at the very start and get the jousting percentage damage boost for one target and then hit the second one with half of that damage, which is crazy. It's not instantly, but usually very, very, very early start with a massive amount of damage output right at the beginning of the fight. So it can be useful. And obviously at any time being able to do that much damage to targets standing next to each other. Then the final tier 7 angel here. Living, large, and flyer. Literally nothing to see here, just basic stuff that we've seen from most all Haven creatures, and a lot of that stuff we will see for other factions as well. So all the same stuff, and then resurrect. So creature can resurrect killed and allied detachment once per battle, provided the location is not occupied. So if a squire dies over here, but then an enemy creature is on top of that squire, you can't resurrect that squire until they get off, or you can obviously resurrect somebody that is not, um, you know, overshadowed by a living creature, or an alive creature, I guess, same difference. But it's still not going to resurrect a ton of allies, but it is nice, you know, to go and revive some people. And get some people back. So it's a nice tier 7 little ability to help out for sure. And then the last angel here, the Seraph, sorry. Still the same, living creature, large, flying, and then casters. This creature set magical spells close to heroes. So having a tier 7 that can cast is okay, but again, these casts are they're not that great. I honestly would prefer the other angel to me. This angel's a little bit more balanced as far as attack and defense and everything like that. This one is way more heavy on the attack side and less defensive. But the damage is obviously better for this one, and this one is a little scary, so it's yeah, I mean, if you want more casting, I guess go for this one, but the casts are pretty much no different. I mean, it says that they're obviously like your hero, but it's the same shit cast that you're gonna get from a priest or anything like that. So I would choose this one, and this is where I would place all of my Haven people. So like I said, Haven is definitely one of the best alternate upgrade factions in the entire game, if not the best. So this is where I would choose all of my Haven creatures and who I think is the better version of them. And hopefully this helped everybody. If you didn't know some of these things, then now you do. You can go over it and choose who you want or who you think is better. So let me know down in the comments who that would be. And please do not forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one, doing all of the factions.